I choose out. You want to do what? My father's voice echoed across the kitchen, sharp and angry. The glass light fixtures above the island seemed to shake from the force of his words. His face, already flushed from his third glass of scotch, turned even redder, almost purple. I stood there, trying to stay calm. I want to start a software company, I said again, more slowly this time. I've already built a prototype. It's a platform to help small businesses get online and manage their operations. He slammed his glass onto the counter so hard I thought it might crack. Absolutely not. We didn't pay for your Stanford education so you could waste your time on some silly tech hobby. You're joining the family business. That's final. I turned to my mom, hoping she might say something different, but she just sat there, completely still on one of the tall kitchen stools, her expression unreadable. The diamond bracelet on her wrist sparkled under the light, the same bracelet I had bought her last Christmas, using money I earned from late-night freelance coding projects she never even asked about. Mom, I said softly, you know how hard it is for small businesses to go digital. This platform could really help them. She looked at her nails, gave a tired sigh, and said, Daniel, your father's right. This tech obsession of yours, it's not practical. Norton Industries needs you. Norton Industries had been in our family for 3 generations, but deep down, we all knew the truth. The business was falling apart. They needed me not because they believed in me, but because they needed my programming skills to save their company. But I had a different dream, a bigger one. I'm not asking for money, I said. I've saved enough on my own. I just need time. My father laughed, but it wasn't a kind laugh. Time? You want time to play with computers while the real world is falling apart? Your sister's already a partner at her law firm and you want to waste time? There it was, Sophia, my older sister, the golden child. She went to Harvard Law, became the youngest partner at her firm, married a surgeon. She was everything I was supposed to be. This isn't playing, I said, feeling the frustration rise in my chest. I already have people interested in the software. Small businesses can't afford the big tech stuff. That's where I come in. Before I could say more, my father threw his glass. It hit the wall behind me and shattered. Whiskey dripped down the wallpaper. Enough, he shouted. You either join Norton Industries on Monday, or you get out. Let's see how long you last without our support. My mother flinched, but she didn't say a word. She never did when he got like this. I looked at them, my father, red and shaking with anger, and my mother, too afraid to speak, and I knew what I had to do. I choose out, I said quietly. What? He barked. I'm leaving. I stood up. My voice was surprisingly steady. Good luck fixing Norton Industries without me. You ungrateful. He started to come toward me, but I was already walking away. I had known this moment might come. My backpack was ready, hidden in the back of my closet for weeks. Inside was my laptop, an external hard drive with all my code, 2 changes of clothes, and a worn-out hoodie. All my important documents were in a safety deposit box. My money was in an account my parents didn't know about. You have 1 hour, my father shouted after me. I want you out of this house. I went up to my room for the last time. I looked around at the posters on the walls, the medals from coding competitions, the framed article about the app one built in high school. Everything in that room reminded me of how far I had come, and how little they had ever really understood me. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Marcus, my best friend. Operation Escape still on? Happening now. Plan B initiated, I replied. Marcus and I had talked about this for months. If things blew up at home, I could crash at the small apartment above his parents' restaurant. It wasn't much, but it would be mine. I grabbed my emergency bag, pulled on my hoodie, and headed for the door. As I reached the hallway, my mother finally spoke. Daniel, she said softly, please be reasonable. Your father only wants what's best for you. I paused and looked at her, heart aching. No, Mom, he wants what's best for Norton Industries. There's a difference. And with that, I walked out. I didn't look back. Don't wait too long, Charles had warned me. This market won't stay open forever. So, just 3 days later, I signed the deal, but not before my sister Sophia, still sharp as ever, even if she didn't believe it, went over every single detail in the contract with her usual careful eye. You're really doing this? She asked me, handing the marked-up documents back. You're going against Dad's business? I'm not trying to destroy it, I said quietly. I'm building something that could actually help his business, if he's willing to look past his pride. She gave a small, Tired laugh. You know he won't. Not coming from you. She was right. He never listened to me, but I had another plan. The next 6 months were intense. I found a small, dusty warehouse and turned it into our office. It was nothing like the fancy buildings my parents were used to, but it was ours. I hired a small team, developers, designers, sales reps. Marcus joined as head of customer support. He knew how to talk to small business owners because he'd grown up in one. He believed in what we were doing. Our company, Smart Start, grew fast, faster than even Charles had expected. Small businesses were desperate for something that worked, and word spread quickly. At first we had a few dozen clients, then a few hundred, then thousands. Then came the article. Digital David vs. Goliath, How Smart Start is Disrupting Enterprise Software. It was all over the tech news. Reporters loved the story. They praised our software for being easy to use and helpful for businesses that couldn't afford big, complicated systems. Toward the end of the article, they casually mentioned something that changed everything. I was the estranged son of Jonathan Norton. Minutes after the article went live, my phone rang. Dad is furious, Sophia said, skipping the hello. He's calling a board meeting. Why? Smart Start isn't even competing with Norton Industries, I said. No, but 3 of his biggest clients just announced they're switching to your platform. I stared at the wall, stunned. We had focused so much on helping small businesses that I didn't realize bigger ones had started using our software too. Sophia continued, and there's more. Norton Industries just released their quarterly numbers. They're worse than I thought. The board is talking about replacing Dad if something doesn't change soon. I pulled up their public financial reports. It was worse than bad, it was disaster. Their profits were down, customers were leaving, and their old systems were falling apart. The company was sinking, fast. They need help, I whispered. They need you, Sophia said softly, but you know Dad won't ask. I thought about the new features we'd been developing, features that were designed specifically to help companies like Norton Industries, features based on everything I knew about the problems inside that company. Maybe, I said slowly, they don't have to know it's me. That night, I called a late meeting with my team. We're launching an enterprise version of Smart Start, I told them, built for mid-sized companies. Marcus looked confused. I thought we were focused on small businesses. We are, but there are a lot of mid-sized companies stuck in the middle, too big for small tools, too small for giant systems. They need help too. I didn't tell them that I had spent months quietly building this version with Norton Industries in mind. I didn't tell them every feature was designed to fix their exact problems. We launched the new software under a different brand name, with no mention of me. We marketed it carefully to companies just like my father's, stuck in the past and desperate for help. It didn't take long. Within days, Norton Industries reached out. Their new chief technology officer, brought in after yet another system crash, wanted to see a demo. The meeting was set. I stayed behind the scenes, watching over video. My carefully chosen team presented the product to my father and the board. I watched his face closely. I could tell he recognized how badly they needed this solution. I could also see him fighting it, fighting the idea of giving in, of admitting failure. We'll need to explore other options, he said, trying to stall. But the board pushed back. This is the first software that actually solves our issues, one member said. I know someone already using it, another added. They're thrilled. Finally, my father gave in. Fine, begin the process. I ended the call, heart pounding. I had done it. I had created something powerful, something that might actually save the business my family had built, but it didn't feel like a win. 3 days later, Sophia called again. Dad's drinking, she said quietly, a lot. Mom's talking about leaving him. My stomach turned. Because of the software? I asked. Because he knows he failed, she said, because he had to accept help from strangers to save the company, and deep down, he knows those strangers were you. I didn't say anything. He keeps saying he should have listened to you, she added. I stared out the window. All I'd wanted was to build something that mattered, but now, everything was falling apart again, just in a different way. What if, I said slowly, there was a way to save the company and his pride? What are you thinking? Sophia asked. I have an idea, but I'll need your help. The board meeting was scheduled for Thursday morning. I sat in my car outside Norton Industries, watching familiar faces go into the building. I hadn't been here in almost a year, since the day I walked out. My father arrived last. He looked older, tired, and unsure. It hurt to see him like that. Everything ready? I asked over the phone. All set, Sophia replied. The board's expecting you. Charles Wagner just arrived. And Mom's here too, though she's still nervous. I fixed my tie in the mirror. It wasn't one of my father's brands, but it looked good. Thanks, Sophia, I said. Let's do this. I walked into the building. The security guard blinked in surprise. Last time, he'd been ordered to throw me out. Now I was walking in as a guest of the board. Inside the room, my father's eyes widened. What are you doing here? He demanded. I'm here to talk about the Enterprise Solutions contract, I said calmly, placing my laptop on the table. This is a closed meeting, security. Charles Wagner raised a hand. He's here at my request, he said, as a key investor and founder of the company providing the solution. I believe his input is essential. My father went pale. You what? I clicked my laptop and showed them the original Smart Start dashboard, my first sketches, the early code, the little project I'd started when I was living in my car. Then I showed them Enterprise Solutions. Every tool here, I explained, was designed for companies like yours. I know your systems, your challenges, your needs, because I grew up around them. This is the solution you've been looking for. You've been spying on us? My father snapped. No, I've been trying to help. Charles cleared his throat again. There's more, he said. We believe a merger could save Norton Industries. My father sat up, stunned. A merger? I showed them my final slides. Smart Start would acquire a controlling share, I said, but the name stays, the legacy continues, the company becomes stronger, modern, efficient, future-ready, and you, Dad, would become chairman emeritus, a respected voice, still part of the company, but not tied to daily operations. The room was quiet, no one moved. You want to buy my company? My father whispered. I want to save it, I said. This is the only way to move forward before it's too late. He looked at me, his pride and pain fighting on his face. My mother reached over and placed a hand on his. For once, he didn't pull away.